Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Still Scavassos here. I'm Anthony.
I'm Casey.
And today we're watching episode 3 of Tiger King.
Wow!
Let's see how much more crazy this thing gets. We have been on a weird ride, as everyone who's seen this show, I'm assuming, shares that same sentiment. It's weird. Like, it's just like I did not expect this.
There's like so much going on, and it's like real. First, it feels like a movie or like some crazy, crime movie, and it's like a documentary. Yeah. I wonder how much of this is skewed for like television take, or if it's not.
I don't know.
I can't tell.
Like, some of the stuff that, like, even like some of these music videos, like, I don't know why is it that every single exotic animal person makes music videos. I don't know if that's just like a thing or whatnot. But they almost look so fake that they look like they were intentionally done so. Yeah. Like, it almost seems like unreal, like a mockery of itself in a sense. But man, it's just these, like, as like in the previous episode, it just told you like a story about one of the characters. Yeah. And then I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then like another character, like, what the fuck? And then he's like another, and I was just like, it was just like constant.
Like, just kept getting
it was like cutting open up like the snakes, putting in drugs, killing cubs, freaking killing your husband, possibly feeding him the tigers. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, it's
so the title of the show is Tiger King Murder, Mayhem, and Madness. So I guess we are getting Murder, Mayhem, and Madness. So
a lot of fucking madness. Yeah. I would say that one is like the one that I see the most so far. But obviously we got some murder going on in the last episode. So I'm very curious if they kind of get into that. We talked about it in our previous reaction because whether Carole did or didn't, she didn't seem very dismissive of the idea that she did possibly kill her husband.
Like, she kind of like was like, that's preposterous. Like she wasn't.
And also she really didn't like seem like sad about like the fact that, if you're presumed missing husband, presumed dead, I would assume. I don't know how long he's been missing. But she didn't seem very remorseful, and I'm curious if they get into that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that they do, because that was a crazy thing to fucking leave it on. Yeah. So. Alright guys, well if you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you can stay notified for all our future videos, and let's jump into this next episode.
Carole Baskin, who was Carole Lewis at the time, was married to Don Lewis.
Yeah. It's a different one.
I did see Don Lewis about maybe a month or so before he disappeared.
Oh.
And he did mention to me that he felt his life was in danger.
All the circumstantial evidence, somebody did something to Don.
So different husband.
There's a lot of stories about Carole having some finger in it, but nobody can prove it.
The last day that I saw Don, he told me that he was done, that he was divorcing her, that she was one of the worst people he'd ever met in his life, and she was very dangerous.
He was afraid of her. We didn't know exactly why.
He was 22 years my senior, so he was 42.
Yeah, she gets jealous.
You have to understand that Don Lewis was married with kids, but apparently he was coming down, I think it was Nebraska.
She was young.
I mean, she looks younger than some of his daughters.
And he said, you can hold this gun on me, I just need somebody to talk to. So I picked up the gun, held it on him, we drove around town and he talked.
The fuck?
What?
With him.
Don Lewis deserted basically his wife and kids because he was in love with the younger blonde woman, known as Carole.
What?
He told
Don was a millionaire. He was a multi-millionaire, okay? And he didn't like her spending his money.
Don Lewis didn't want people knowing what he had and what he was worth.
I had been raped at knife point by 3 men that lived across the street from me when I was 14.
Oh my gosh.
I left home at the age of 15. I got married to Michael when I was 17.
Oh,
he was Jamie's father, and he was extremely abusive. But the idea of leaving and having to raise a child on my own was terrifying.
It's so funny because the very people that are against breeding used to do the same thing.
I think that Carole did start feeling bad about selling the animals and maybe breeding them and crossbreeding them.
Carole wanted the animals just to collect and love, and he looked at it more as a business. He also had a girlfriend in Costa Rica.
Oh, whoa.
So I think one of their main problems was she couldn't be the only one in his life.
I think he was preparing his estate and assets in a way that he could get a divorce without losing everything.
Don started looking a little bit funny. And then one day he came in and he brought me a piece of paper. It was in an envelope, and he said, here, you need to take this home, you need to keep it. If anything happens to me, give it to the police.
Oh, wow.
He'd given me a copy of the restraining order that he had filed for.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't show stalking, it doesn't show battery, it doesn't show anything. It shows a verbal argument, and that's not enough to get an injunction.
Last thing he said to me was that he needed me to have Kenny get a truck ready because he was going early, he said, the next day to Costa Rica. And that was the last I saw of him, so I just don't know.
I finally got a hold of Carole. She says, do you think I should call the police? And I said, do you think?
I think the police did a horrible job at the investigation side of it. The cops never looked at the van when it was at the airport, and they let them bring that van back to Easy Street. And it was there for a couple of days before the cops come to look at the van.
How the fuck does...
They even look in the van.
You
a couple of days that van sat there.
You could put anything you wanted in there. You could plant whatever. You could clean whatever.
They found my fingerprints inside of his van.
Oh, crap.
4 days before he disappeared, he dropped his van off for me to do some work to it. But he tried to talk me into going to Costa Rica. He said, come on and go to Costa Rica with me.
Why did he want to go to Costa Rica so badly?
He liked it down there.
Probably because his girlfriend was there.
The long-term plan, according to the investigation, was that he would eventually move the Big Cat Rescue, or Wildlife on Easy Street as it was known then, down to the Costa Rica area.
It's impossible with the size and types of planes that Don had that I know of, that he could nonstop go from here to Costa Rica.
I was seeing behavior in him that just didn't make any sense. Like, he could remember things from way back when he was a kid, but he couldn't remember where he was for the last 5 minutes. And one of our volunteers came to me and said that that looked like Alzheimer's to him. Maybe he doesn't know who he is. Maybe he doesn't know where to call home.
That's all bull.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that doesn't happen that quickly.
He knew exactly what was going on, where, who, what, where, when, how, why. He knew all that. That's not a problem. My understanding was that he was killed.
By?
I can't say it.
Won't go there.
Can't say it.
Was it a music video? Oh my god! Wait, is
They're
it both
together?
of them? Oh wait, no.
Oh, she's a fake, like an actress.
And a look-alike Carole walking along with him while he's singing.
She looks
feeding
just
Bob
like her.
To her cats.
Like, just like her.
He's got an extreme shit. You haven't seen Here Kitty Kitty. You don't know what you're missing.
That looks so much like her.
It looked just like her.
Yeah.
His own kids demanded that they DNA test the meat grinder.
Oh, whoa.
Sheriff's office wouldn't do it.
Really?
We had a meat grinder. If you've ever seen a Butcher Boy meat
Why?
grinder, it's about that big around. That became like this wholly exciting thing that I ran him through that grinder, and it's like, I couldn't have run his hands through the grinder, much less a body.
That's weird the way she's like laughing about
There's
it.
another theory that one of the buildings they built, there's a septic tank underneath it, that he was put in that.
If we could ever get the law to go in there and dig up that septic tank, I promise you he's underneath that damn thing.
Hey, Carole, it's a voice from your past. Get me the fuck out from under the septic tank.
That's so messed up.
Carol's brother was a member of the sheriff's department, and I think he maintained some sort of, well, you know, that's my sister. I want you to tread lightly.
Her brother worked for the sheriff's department, but I don't think that there was collusion there.
So we never had much of a relationship.
The investigation indicated Carole had left Wildlife on Easy Street to drive to a nearby store named Albertsons to pick up some milk byproducts for the cats. This is at 3 o'clock in the morning. Her car broke down And Carole ran into her brother, who was accompanied by another deputy. The second deputy gave her a ride back to her home. After that,
this is a whole lot of
Carole
stuff.
indicated the last time that she saw her husband was just several hours later, and he was never seen again. And I don't know, but I would have hoped that the detectives would have pursued that and made sure that there was nothing.
That's a weird story. It's like weird. Like
the brother.
I got a phone call stating that the office alarm had gone off, and Carole was there. Her and Kenny Farr had cut the locks on the gate, cut the locks on the office.
Cut the power to the trailer, cut the water, cut the sewer. The cops come because the alarm went off. Ann McQueen come up because that's her office, you know what I mean? She's been here for years.
There were 2 wills and there were 2 power of attorneys in my office in a box underneath my desk.
But whatever paperwork or whatever they needed, there was nothing that the cops could do to stop the wife taking anything.
Wow.
The will and the power of attorney, they were all taken out of the office that day.
A normal person would put upon my death, first sentence, upon my disappearance.
Isn't it suspicious that the power of attorney says upon my disappearance?
I don't know who anticipates, everybody anticipates her death, but who in the world anticipates disappearance?
Like, I'm gonna disappear. Let me make this will.
Yeah. Gosh, it's just getting worse and worse.
There was a note pinned to the refrigerator door. It said, "Never speak that man's name again in this house."
What?
Do you remember that? Donna telling us that?
I remember that very well.
Yeah.
And so Carole had him declared legally dead 5 years and 1 day after he disappeared.
A lot of things happened during those 5 years. A lot of things were moved around.
She took out a lot of good things for herself and put in bad things in their accounts.
We ended up with all the yucky stuff.
She was taking property out of Don's name and our names and putting it in her name.
I was
like
the
taking it
other
from his
woman
kids.
for years. After the kids came back and they said that the mother didn't get a fair settlement and they tried to take him back to court and get more money out of him, that's when he disowned them. And so he said to nullify their trust, but I didn't because I felt like those are his kids and someday he's going to feel differently, so I left it in place.
So what's the theory that makes the most sense?
Well, there's no proof. I feel the one that would benefit the most from something happening to my father is Carole.
She knows.
The ex-wife was just like, she did it.
I mean, imagine that maybe she didn't have anything to do with it. And let's say she did love Don and she did mourn his death tremendously. To live with people constantly saying those things and making those accusations,
That's coming from a
can be
former
hurtful
volunteer
and
first.
can change a person too.
And what about the money in the end?
We definitely did not end up with, if I had to say it, probably 10%.
Wow.
You inherited only 10% of his estate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And where did the rest go?
Carole.
Ex-wife doesn't give a fuck. She's just like answering the question so bluntly.
On November 1st, 2004, we got married.
He got married in that?
My #1 goal in life is going to be to make this woman happy.
What?
Oh my god.
We never felt that it was investigated well enough. They did say Carole was the prime suspect at the time, but until she said, until someone comes forward.
I cannot tell you that we have zeroed in on any particular suspect. I'd be remiss if I said that. There is absolutely no physical evidence at this point in time that would point at one particular individual.
That's when we got the thing from Carole to stop. I have the money, you do not, and if you continue talking, I will take everything away from you and your family.
What?
That's why we haven't spoken out.
Because you're afraid of Carole Baskin?
Oh, yes, I am. I am.
Why are they so joke? So it is of my personal opinion that she did it.
Allegedly.
There's just way too much.
Actually, not even allegedly. There's nothing.
Suspect. There's no evidence. Okay, so there's just way too much there. Like, it's the documents saying, like, upon my disappearance, obviously, you know, them being taken from that office, her brother working in law enforcement. It's just too many funky things there. Like,
and then the story of her going at 3 a.m. and then like breaking down and then
the van being at the airport. Yeah, with the briefcase in it too.
Weird.
And then also them not like really like, what was the thing about them not looking in the trunk for 3 days?
I know.
Like, what the fuck?
Why would
not wanting to check the meat grinder? I mean, if anyone was the prime suspect, I mean, I forgot who said it in there, but they said that it's typically, you know, like the first loved one and things of that nature.
Or wife.
Yeah. And it just did not seem like they did a thorough investigation.
Why wouldn't you just check? Like, why wouldn't you just check? I mean, I don't know how it works, but like, why?
I mean, just for the sake of, like, you know, cover all your bases. You want to make sure, where's this person go? Yeah. What happened to them?
Yeah, that's crazy. This story just keeps getting wilder and wilder. Like,
Carole-centric this episode.
I know, yeah, this one is more about Carole. It's like there's a bunch of like main people in this, and it's like we just get to know a little bit more about them.
The fucking music video that Joe made about, like, I legit thought that was her. I was like, did they have a piece? Like, did they come to piece together
to make this music video?
Yeah, because if they combine their powers together, they'd be more famous than anyone. No, but oh my god, it was so funny. I want to go watch that music video now, in all honesty.
Looking forward to the next one for sure. I wonder if it's going to be like about one specific person or like the story. It's just like, it just seems when you can't, you don't think the story is going to get any crazier, and then it does. And it's just crazy. It's just so crazy. So much is going on. It doesn't
fucking seem real.
I know,
like, it's just so
like
eccentric and like
drama.
so, yeah. And it's just like, the details are just so crazy that it just makes you don't even feel like it's real at all.
All right, well, if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you can stay notified for all of our future videos.
And be sure to check out our Patreon where we have full-length reactions as well as exclusive content. We're currently watching the Clone Wars, so if you'd like to go check that out, check the link out in the description, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Bye!